welcome to Issues and Insights. I'm your host today, Melanie Parker. I am really excited to have Debbie Scala. Did I say that right?
Yes.
All right, I want to get your name right. With Room in the Inn of Hardin County. You operate with the board, right? So you're the president.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. I am excited to interview you today because I genuinely know nothing. And so I may be kind of all over the place, but I'm really curious about what you all do. Can you start with exactly a definition of what Room in the Inn Hardin County is?
Well, we exist to be able to provide a warm, safe place for people to stay at night, December 1st through February 28th.
Okay.
And we also provide breakfast and snacks.
Oh, wow.
So
sounds like a B&B.
Yes, it is. And it's the main purpose is to show the love of Jesus Christ, to
like
do that. And it's such a needed thing here in Hardin County.
And where are you located?
Our shelter this year is at Knights of Columbus.
Okay.
On Litchfield Road, 1851 Litchfield Road. But we have the guests register first at Warm Blessings. So we don't want to directly receive anybody there because they usually need the day shelter anyway at Warm Blessings. But the Knights of Columbus has graciously let us rent their building for this year.
They're awesome.
And so that's where we're spending the nights.
Okay, so right now it's about 3 months. Is there plans at any point to do like a 24/7, 365 situation, or is that just you feel that's where the strongest need is?
Well, we really want to have a 24/7, 365 shelter, and Warm Blessings Community Kitchen also does, and I personally do. There's just not we haven't found a place to have it yet, and they're working on plans. The board of Warm Blessings is really trying to put together the programs and location and so on.
So you would work in close proximity with Warm Blessings to see this dream come to fruition? Yes,
I want to, and I haven't thoroughly discussed all this with my officers. They know that I want to.
It's a pipe dream. We can talk about pipe dreams. That's okay.
But so the idea would be to be located in the same building, of course, and make it one
brick and mortar for all of you.
And have a couple different levels of homeless shelter, like the intake, where they just kind of get settled and get a little bit stabilized, and then see what the guests' goals would be and what their needs are. Wonderful. And then maybe move them to a little more private area instead of the dorm kind of area.
Right.
Right. So there's a big need for it in Hardin County, and we already have our separate volunteers. They do for feeding people, and we do for housing people at night. And so it would be a great relationship. We just need to multiply the volunteers to be able to do it year round.
So here's our segue for volunteers. What are you looking for as far as volunteers?
Somebody who's interested in helping those who are experiencing homelessness, and so I'll just go through the order of it.
Absolutely.
So registration occurs between 4:30 and 5:30 at Warm Blessings. And so we need people who are comfortable with like an intake. We go up to them. They don't stand in line to wait for us. We go to them while they're sitting at their tables relaxing at the day shelter at Warm Blessings, and we ask them the few questions and make sure that they are agreeable to the rules before we complete the whole application.
And what is the criteria?
Basically, they just need to be willing to follow the rules, which is treat others as you want to be treated.
The golden rule.
No weapons, no obvious intoxication, no alcohol, no drugs at the facility.
Sure, that's fair.
Yeah, and to just treat everybody with kindness. And then we also want them to pitch in with sweeping the floor and changing the trash out. They make their own beds and break down their beds.
Like a youth hostel.
Yeah.
I love it.
So it's just to let them participate a little bit in their own care there, and everybody is really super cooperative with that.
Good.
But we make them aware, you know, lights out at 10, no noise after 10, and the lights are back on at 7, and then we eat at 7:15. So that registration person, we need people to drive vans, and at 5:30 we leave, 5:25, 5:30.
So folks would get on a van at Warm Blessings and be transported to your location?
Correct.
For the night? Okay.
At Knights of Columbus, yes. And then we have to bring them back in the morning. So depending on if the van driver is staying overnight, which I did on Tuesday, then you just leave the van there and everybody hops back in the morning. And the shelter opens the day shelter opens at 8 o'clock. So
do you have a person there that stays the night with them just to ensure that the rules are followed?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So we ideally have at least 3 people. If there's so we have 2 women and 2 men that stay the night as volunteers. And so those volunteers and everybody who's part of the program, we want to give them an orientation so they see our bigger picture of how we want people to be treated and how to interact with them. And then, of course, our procedures for registering and then once they get there, you know, all the things. So there's a little orientation if you want to volunteer, but it takes less than an hour.
Wow.
And we have lots of volunteers. There's 12 churches that are involved.
Wow, I had no idea. That's
12
amazing.
to 15, yes.
Okay.
So, but because of COVID, some people have to be more cautious than others.
Yeah.
And so last year it was difficult, and this year is better than last year as far as the numbers participating, but we still need a lot more volunteers.
All right, so let's talk about what do you see as far as trending, the people that, as a Hardin County resident, you know, it's a whole head in the sand thing. I was not aware, and maybe we don't want to be aware. I don't know. I don't know if we're being completely transparent about a homeless problem in Hardin County. Who do you see? What is the norm? Is it single men, single women? Is it families? Is it couples? What do you see the most of as far as trending through your situation?
Well, the biggest numbers are in single men.
Okay.
So right now we have 13 to 14 single men.
Are they regulars?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, just of this week, you know, it varies quite a little bit.
Sure.
But we have had up to 14 men. And then there's 2 ladies. So sometimes there's couples that come, sometimes they're married, sometimes they're boyfriend, girlfriend, and we have the men separated from the women.
Smart. Even the couples are separated?
Yes.
Seems easier.
Right,
Yeah.
and then that's part of the things that we tell them that,
Sure.
that before they sign up for it, to make them aware.
That makes sense.
And because there's a common area to sit and eat and everything, but just
Right.
sleeping at night, it's separate.
Yes.
So what I see is that there are more places for single moms or couples with children. There's a few more resources for them. And so we mostly see the single men. And a lot of it is somebody who just got out of jail. Maybe they just got out of rehab, drug rehab or addiction rehab of some kind. And so they don't have a place to stay.
Right.
And we just take them all in, and as long as they're able to follow the rules, and they all do, and everybody's really thankful this year and so cooperative.
It's cold out there.
Yeah. It's really awesome to get to know the people.
I bet.
But that's the main thing. And Lynette Kennedy from Hardin County School Liaison, she had said, and it perked my mind that this is really when it happens, that it's a change in relationship that makes them homeless. Either someone kicks them out of their house, or they're no longer in the jail system, or they're no longer part of the drug rehab. They only can stay a certain amount of time. So so we bridge the gaps for them.
Awesome. Are there programs out there for these folks how far does your reach go? I mean, just housing them alone and feeding them breakfast and transporting them from their day place and all of that is phenomenal. How far does your reach go? Are there programs that work with you all to help them to go one step further to where they maybe wouldn't need to be with you?
Well, there are lots of programs. Warm Blessings Community Kitchen is our main one because we now have a social worker there.
Oh, wow.
And so she can help. Her name is Candy Ott. And she,
well, God bless Candy Ott.
Yes,
that's great.
And she's able to help assess and if they need a job or if they need counseling or whatever else they think they need. She has resources to help connect them.
That's fabulous.
And then Volunteers of America is very active in having placement places for people.
Okay.
But there's not enough in Hardin County. There's not enough affordable housing in Hardin County. But so yeah, they have a great relationship with a lot of people, and so Warm Blessings is my main thing, and of course they do the day shelter, we do the night shelter, and that's
a great marriage.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
So they do help connect people.
Wonderful. That's good to know. I'm glad there are resources. You know, they say you give a man a fish, but for you all to help them to transition. You know, helping them with their immediate needs and then helping them transition to maybe a better life is priceless, truly. So let's talk about, what do you need? What can we do as a community to help you? Let's start with material things. Are there any things that we can put out there for folks? It's the holiday, 'tis the season. What do you need?
Well, the main thing that we need is volunteers.
Okay.
People that are actually willing to spend the time to come. You know, it can be in blocks of time. They can even come later at night and not have to stay from 5:30 till 8 o'clock. But usually the hardest people to find are the overnight people.
Right.
And once you get there, you can expect not to sleep, you know, soundly the whole night. But it's not that bad if you put extra blankets on your cot to help fill in the
and
the dip.
Where do those blankets come from? Are there anything like that you all need as well?
Yes, we do need some twin size blankets.
Twin size
that would
blankets.
be like the fuzzier kind, but easy to wash. Not huge comforters.
Right.
That are really super thick, but are warm. So we
that
need
could go
10
into
to
a
20.
regular washing machine.
Yes.
Okay.
10 to 20 of those.
Okay.
But everything else that we need is like a one-time thing, and we have stores of hygiene products and socks and hats. So we don't need that. And Warm Blessings in general doesn't either. I think that to be able to have people change their thought process from giving stuff to giving time or even money is a little more usable than lots and lots of hats when you already have enough hats. And not to minimize that gift at all, but it's really a one-time thing that you need a season, because they probably serve through the day like 70 different people, Warm Blessings, but our 20 to 25 are pretty much the same. So I think I had given the addresses for Warm Blessings and for Room in the Inn. If people want to make monetary donations, then we can buy what we need as we need it, because there's not enough storage room to keep clothes and stacks of things. So we have to kind of get it as we need it. If somebody needs clothes for to work or a new pair of shoes, it's easier to get it right when they need it, because you can't keep enough sizes and things anyway.
No, absolutely not. Okay. So those are the kinds of things you provide as well. If someone needs help with work or anything like that, the physical attire they may need?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't ask for those in clothes donations, but the money donations. And if you wanted to, you could designate it for clothes, you know, for Warm Blessings. is probably they're open year round.
Okay.
Not as a day shelter, but they're providing these connection kind of services for people.
Yes, they're a great resource.
Yes.
Yes.
And meals every, evening for the community.
So while folks are out doing their holiday shopping, I know a lot of us are big on purchasing gift cards because sometimes it's just easier. Would you be open to someone while they're doing their shopping buying a $50 gift card, Visa gift card, or a $100 Visa gift card and sending that to you? Would that make it easier, or do you prefer a check, or what works for you?
I think it's probably easier to just to mail the check or drop off a check at Warm Blessings and you could drop it off for a room in the inn there too, but we have our separate addresses.
Gotcha.
Because then you have it all in your account and you can use it as you need it instead of
that makes sense.
Holding on to a whole bunch of different cards.
Sure. Okay, whatever works for you all, because I know there are folks out there listening right now thinking, oh, I meant to pull that little something off the tree to buy something for somebody at Walmart or at the mall or whatever. So here's another opportunity for them to do something to literally, total pun intended, give some warm blessings, and that type of thing. So what other needs, what can we as a community, Hardin County, we are a family here. I've lived all over the world, thank you military, and I don't begrudge any of it, but Hardin County is a family. So what else can we do? We've talked about volunteers. Sounds like you need some blankets and some checks. What do you feel we can do to help in this problem, either before, during, or after these folks transition, hopefully back into society?
Well, I want to say that poverty and experiencing homelessness are very closely related.
Right.
In Hardin County, the poverty percentage is about 10%.
Okay.
And the thing is to realize that 10% is there. So 1 in 10 people that you meet, say maybe out at Walmart or in a busier place in town, would be experiencing poverty. The other thing is that, and I lost my train of thought.
You're totally fine. Take your time. No pressure.
That usually you won't notice that there's a lot of people in poverty or hanging around until the percentage gets above 25% in an area.
Right.
And
that 10% still matters, right?
Yeah. But the thing is that once it's to 25%, then it's very hard to deal with. Right now we have something that really is almost dealable withable.
Sure.
So the thing is to realize that it is a problem. And the reason that it's a problem is because there's different environments and there's different sets of hidden rules for each environment. So the people that are from generational poverty are dealing with the right now. They have to know how to get enough food, to find shelter, to find transportation to their job. And so it's like one thing after another that they're dealing, everything's right now. And so there's not really planning to make their future better because everything's very urgent today. So sometimes that's hard for us that are raised in middle class to realize that we're able, since we have all those needs met, we can plan 2 weeks ahead, a year ahead, a couple years ahead. And so that's something that Bridges Out of Poverty by Ruby Payne and a couple other authors talk about, is understanding that people come from the environments that they're raised in. And so I think understanding that when people don't act the way you think they should, it's because they usually don't know that there's a certain way to act.
Right. Their journey was different. Their experiences were different.
Right. And so I think that giving people the benefit of the doubt and kind of learning from them where they come from and being able to work all together with all environments of society, the very wealthy, help fund things and can teach us a lot of things, and the middle class kind of gets things done. We're very achievement oriented, and those that are experiencing poverty are very survival, very skilled at recognizing nonverbal cues, and with relationships, they're very skilled in relationships because that's what helps them survive. And so we have to recognize each other's skills. The other thing to realize is that those that are experiencing poverty or homelessness, it's not because they're lazy, it's not because they want to be there. Mm-hmm. Anybody that's in poverty wants to get out if they knew how.
Sure.
The thing that it has to do with is there are some personal choices, but there's also, it has to do with resources. Mm-hmm. The things, there's like 4 areas of research of poverty, and you research the personal choices are part of it.
Of course, with all of us.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's also exploitation, which I didn't really realize that there's exploitation of people who are desperate, and so they're going to be looking for anything that would make money, and then so sometimes you can make choices that you wouldn't make if you weren't experiencing poverty.
I understand.
So there's exploitation, and like check cashing places mm-hmm. are exploitive. Maybe not on purpose for the people that are working there, but the people that are owning them know that they can get higher rates because people are desperate.
It's a dark hole to go down.
Yes. You know, and maybe the multitude of liquor stores in the places that are experiencing poverty is really a form of exploitation, I believe. And so those kind of things you don't think of that kind of help perpetuate poverty.
Right.
And then there can be the political and economic. And then there's also just the amount of resources that are available in their community. Are there jobs? Is there transportation? There's no public transportation in Hardin County.
I think transportation is a big one.
We
look at folks, all these help wanted signs, and we look at folks and why aren't you working? We have all of these opportunities for you, but it's easy to not think about transportation. Mm-hmm. That is a big one.
Yeah, especially in the winter. Yeah. I mean, in the summer, most of the people that I've met that are experiencing homelessness, that's their main thing is they're walking everywhere. Yeah. Some ride a bike, but mm-hmm. in the freezing cold, in Kentucky so far it hasn't been, but sometimes we've had really cold winters, and that's really hard, and that wears you out.
The woolly worm at my office says we're going to have a bad winter because he's solid black. Just so
is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe.
Maybe.
So it's more than just that, and I just wanted to talk about resources. It's not a matter of the will to do it. It's the resources. So you have your physical resources. Is your body in shape that you could work? Mm-hmm. There's your spiritual resources. Do you have hope? Do you believe in something bigger than yourself? Do you have that resource available to you? Mm-hmm. There's emotional resources. Do you have the ability to cope? Can you control your anger or your sadness when you're in stressful situations?
Once again, applies to all of us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You can do the checklist for individual, for institutions, and for communities. You have the same resource list. So physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, are they able to read or write? Mm-hmm. And the ones you have strengths in can help make up for the ones that you don't have strengths in.
Sure.
And then the littlest one is financial. It's not a means of finances. If you have all the other resources, then you can get by on less. Right. And then there's bridging and bonding relationships. So who do you know that's helping you get by, who can give you the ride, who can take care of your child? And then who do you know that can help you get to the next step, that bridging relationship? Mm-hmm. So you need both, the bonding ones and the bridging ones.
Wonderful. And
then you need to know the hidden rules of the environment that you're trying to get a job from. Mm-hmm. And those hidden rules there's a mental model. Bridges Out of Poverty is big on mental models. But the hidden rules control all the other resources, really, because mm-hmm. you can't access a job if you don't realize that or have trust in the way that they do things. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to learn the rules and how things run in the environment you're going to work in, or the environment that we're trying to help, we need to understand, and then they need to understand, those that are from poverty need to understand how middle class works.
Right.
And we all need to understand each other for it to all work out well.
I truly believe. You made reference to a book.
Mm-hmm.
And I flipped through my notes here,
Mm-hmm.
and because I was drawn to it before we even started talking,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Bridges Out of Poverty, Strategies for Professionals and Communities by Ruby K. Payne, Philip Duvall, and Terry Drucy, probably just got that wrong.
Drucy Smith.
Smith.
Uh-huh.
And I encourage folks to read this book. Or find another book. It's important that we understand people different than ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's important as a society, as a community, for us to understand people who've made different choices than us, whether it be based on trauma. Some folks are, sometimes bad things happen to good people. Mm-hmm. And not all of us have supportive families. There's a lot involved that get people to these places, mm-hmm. that get put into the beds that you are providing. Mm-hmm. And as a community layman, thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you and your board. I know it's not easy to spend a night away from your families to be there for these folks. Mm-hmm. And some of us have the time and the wherewithal to volunteer, mm-hmm. and some of us are not able to do that for whatever reason. Then it is okay to write a check, mm-hmm. right? Right. You need it all.
Yes.
But from a community standpoint, thank you, mm-hmm. and please share that with your entire board. Mm-hmm. And I encourage our viewers to reach out to Warm Blessings and to you and find out how we can help, whether it be time, resources, blankets, mm-hmm. or a check. Mm-hmm. Whatever it may be. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we leave?
Well, I wanted to thank you for interviewing me. I appreciate that.
Happy to do it. It's been very informative.
Yes, and that sometimes I just wanted to say this time frame for somebody to be able to get out of poverty, say from a homeless shelter to being independent and off of state resources and things like that, it takes between 2 and 5 years to do that. And so it's not a 3-month thing, it's a year-round thing.
Right.
And those supportive services are needed to help them be in the workforce, mm-hmm. and be a full member of society.
Wonderful. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I'm afraid we're out of time.
Okay.
I mean, there's so much more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got a long way to go and a short time to get there, but I really appreciate your time, mm-hmm. and your volunteerism heart, mm-hmm. and everyone that's involved as well. And I want to challenge you all. There's no one, myself included, has gotten to where we are without somebody helping. Mm-hmm. So I challenge you to start this new year off figuring out how you can pay that forward and help your fellow man in Hardin County. I'm Melanie Parker. Thank you so much. This was Issues and Insights, and we'll see you next week.